1994, Kurt Cobain, the lead singer of Nirvana, was found dead at his home in Seattle, Washington. The official cause of death was ruled as suicide by a self-inflicted shotgun wound to the head. Forensic investigators and a coroner determined he had died around April 5th, 3 days before his body was discovered by an electrician. A suicide note was found nearby, and toxicology reports indicated a high level of heroin and traces of Valium in his system. Despite the official ruling, conspiracy theories surrounding Cobain's death have persisted for decades. Some theories suggest he was murdered, not by suicide. Private investigator Tom Grant, initially hired by Cobain's wife Courtney Love to find him after he left rehab, believes Cobain was murdered. He points to inconsistencies, such as the shotgun not being thoroughly examined for fingerprints until a month later, and the high concentration of heroin in Cobain's system, which some medical experts claim would have made him incapacitated and unable to fire a shotgun. Recently, a private team of forensic specialists, including Brian Burnett and Michelle Wilkins, has challenged the suicide ruling. They argue that evidence from the autopsy, such as organ necrosis, suggests Cobain was incapacitated by a forced heroin overdose before being shot, and that the crime scene may have been staged to look like a suicide. However, the Seattle Police Department has consistently stood by its original finding of suicide, stating that there is no credible evidence to contradict it. Lashed against the precinct windows, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. Another cold case, another dead end. But this wasn't just any cold case. This was Kurt Cobain. 20 years later, and the question still haunted Seattle. The official ruling was suicide, a self-inflicted shotgun wound. But whispers, theories, they never died. What if those whispers were right? What if we, the police, had been wrong all along? What if we were responsible for not finding his killer? The thought was a bitter pill. I imagined the headlines, the public outcry, the sheer weight of that failure. We'd followed the evidence, or so we thought. A shotgun, a note, a history of depression and drug use. It all pointed to one conclusion. But then you hear the other side. The private investigators, the forensic experts, the fans who refused to believe. They talked about the impossible amount of heroin in his system, enough to incapacitate anyone, making it unlikely he could have pulled that trigger himself. They questioned the lack of clear fingerprints on the shotgun, the inconsistencies in the suicide note, the way the scene was found. Every new theory, every documentary, chipped away at the official story, leaving behind a growing chasm of doubt. If it was a homicide, and we missed it, then we didn't just fail Kurt Cobain, we failed justice. We allowed a killer to walk free, shrouded in the convenient narrative of a rock star's tragic end. The weight of that responsibility. The idea that we might have been so quick to close the book, to accept the easiest answer, it was crushing. It wasn't just about reopening a case, it was about confronting our own fallibility, our own potential negligence. And in that moment, looking out at the stormy Seattle sky, I knew that some cases, some truths, demand more than just an official ruling. They demand relentless pursuit, no matter how many years have passed, no matter how uncomfortable the answers might be. Because the alternative, living with the knowledge that we let a killer get away, was far more unbearable than any storm. Kurt Donald Cobain was the lead singer, guitarist, and primary songwriter for the grunge band Nirvana. His angsty songwriting and anti-establishment persona blended raw emotion with melody, bringing underground sounds to the mainstream while maintaining artistic integrity. Cobain's creative approach to alternative rock influenced mainstream rock and subgenres like punk and independent rock. For his later He Loved All, and he should be. The actress was previously married to the late Nirvana rock star Kurt Cobain, from February 1992 until his death in 1994. She told Sassy magazine that she initiated the quote, "It's a common misconception that Courtney Love was involved in Kurt Cobain's death, with theories suggesting she had him killed by one of her lovers." However, Kurt Cobain's death was officially ruled a suicide by the Seattle Police Department and the King County Medical Examiner's Office. Despite the official ruling, conspiracy theories have persisted for years, often fueled by books, documentaries, and private investigators who claim foul play. One prominent figure in these theories is Tom Grant, a private investigator initially hired by Courtney Love to find Cobain after he left drug rehabilitation. Grant believes Cobain was murdered and has presented his theories in various forums, including the 2015 docudrama Soaked in Bleach. Some theories suggest that Cobain had too much heroin in his system to be able to fire a shotgun, or that there were inconsistencies in his suicide note. However, these claims have been countered by explanations such as Cobain's high tolerance for heroin due to heavy use, and the possibility of different handwriting styles in the note having innocent explanations. The April 1992 issue of Sassy magazine featured Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love covering the relationship around the time of their marriage. While the magazine documented their lives, there's no credible evidence within its content that suggests Courtney Love had any involvement in Cobain's death. The conspiracy theories linking Love to Cobain's death emerged later and are not supported by the official investigations. But after independent researcher Michelle Wilkins told the Daily Mail that after reviewing the case, Burnett concluded, "This is a homicide. We've got to do something about this." The team claims it identified 10 points in Cobain's autopsy records that it believes are inconsistent with the official determination. Wilkins told the Daily Mail the group's working theory is that Cobain may have been confronted by one or more assailants, forced into a heroin overdose to incapacitate him, then shot in the head, with the scene staged to resemble suicide, including a suicide note they allege was altered. Wilkins also cited specific autopsy findings she said raised questions, including damage to Cobain's organs and what she described as signs consistent with oxygen deprivation. There are things in the autopsy that go, well, wait, this person didn't die very quickly of a gunshot blast, Wilkins told the Daily Mail. She also claimed organ damage was more consistent with an overdose than a gunshot death. This was a very clean scene, the researcher says. Wilkins told the Daily Mail that after reviewing police reports, she believes investigators overlooked elements that did not match a typical suicide scene. Among the items she pointed to, told the Daily Mail that an unofficial private sector team of forensic scientists, re-examining the autopsy results and crime scene materials of Kurt Cobain's death, concluded it was a homicide. Wilkins, an independent investigator, stated that the thorough analysis of the autopsy results did not support the theory of an immediate bullet death. She and Brian Burnett spent 3 days reviewing the case, and their team reached a new conclusion, differing from what fans had believed for 31 years. The peer-reviewed report outlined 10 pieces of evidence suggesting Cobain was confronted by one or more attackers who forced him to overdose on drugs, staged the body, and forged a suicide note. Wilkins noted that the autopsy showed inconsistent signs of an instantaneous gunshot death and organ damage related to oxygen deprivation, which is consistent with an overdose, but not a shotgun death. She also commented that the King County investigation appeared orchestrated, as if someone staged a movie to make it absolutely certain it was a suicide. Wilkins told the Daily Mail that the team is not looking to make arrests, but wants transparency and for the evidence to be re-examined. Seattle authorities, however, told the Daily Mail that the case remains closed as a suicide, and the King County Medical Examiner's Office stated they would only reconsider if new evidence emerges, adding that none has been presented to warrant revisiting the suicide determination. 30 years after Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain was found dead in his Seattle home, a private group reviewing the case is claiming the rock icon may have been killed, despite authorities maintaining the 1994 ruling of suicide. Cobain died on April 5, 1994 at age 27. The King County Medical Examiner officially listed his death as suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. According to the Daily Mail, an unofficial private sector team of forensic scientists has been revisiting the case with the help of Brian Burnett, who the outlet described as having experience in cases involving overdoses and gunshot trauma. Kurt Cobain was found dead in his Seattle home, and a private group reviewing the case is claiming the rock icon may have been killed. Photo source, Facebook. Independent researcher Michelle Wilkins told the Daily Mail that after reviewing the case, Burnett concluded, "This is a homicide. We've got to do something about this." The team claims it identified 10 points in Cobain's autopsy records that it believes are inconsistent with the official determination. Wilkins told the Daily Mail the group's working theory is that Cobain may have been confronted by one or more assailants, forced into a heroin overdose to incapacitate him, then shot in the head, with the scene staged to resemble suicide, including a suicide note they allege was altered. Wilkins also cited specific autopsy findings she said raised questions, including damage to Cobain's organs and what she described as signs consistent with oxygen deprivation. There are things in the autopsy that go, well, wait, this person didn't die very quickly of a gunshot blast, Wilkins told the Daily Mail. She also claimed organ damage was more consistent with an overdose than a gunshot death. This was a very clean scene, the researcher says. Wilkins told the Daily Mail that after reviewing police reports, she believes investigators overlooked elements that did not match a typical suicide scene. Among the items she pointed to were receipts found in Cobain's pocket, including a receipt for bullets, and the way ammunition was allegedly arranged. To me, it looks like someone staged a movie and wanted you to be absolutely certain this was a suicide, Wilkins told the Daily Mail. She also questioned the heroin kit reportedly found nearby, saying it was unusually tidy. We're supposed to believe he capped the needles and put everything back in order after shooting up 3 times, she told the outlet.